We cannot force someone to hear a message they are not ready to receive, but we must never underestimate the power of planting a seed. Hello, folks. This is not my usual beginning to these shows, because this one is a very important one, one that needs to be heard. And at the time of this recording, it's been a couple of weeks since the loss of George Floyd and others, and there's been a lot of things going on. I would say probably mostly in the U.S. I don't follow the news that closely, but I'm well aware of the situation that we have to unfortunately witness. So what I wanted to do was to do a program where, yes, we will talk about photography, but I think this is a more important message that needs to get out. So I have invited a guest from Rochester, New York, and his name is Warren Mcinnis. Hi, Warren. How are you?
I'm doing well, man.
So, like I said, this is a different beginning to how I usually start this podcast, but I wanted to give you a chance to voice your opinions, beliefs, feelings, whatever you wanted to say. I wanted to give you a platform to do that, and because I think it's really important. So I think it's no secret that we're that we're talking about predominantly the Black Lives Matter movement, and all the things that are involved with that. So first of all, maybe just a quick intro of who you are and why you wanted to come on and get your voice heard.
Well, like you said, my name is Warren, and I'm going to say that I'm in my 50s, and I've been around for a while, and I've seen some changes, some waves in society, and in my time right now, I have a wife and I have some children, and I have 6 children, and we set out to make their lives better, if possible, than our lives, and you start out with goals like, okay, you want a better education, you want, nice things, just living a good, clean life. You're not trying to destroy people, or society. Mm-hmm. So, we set out with those endeavors, and, realizing all of that, what we can do to try to, help our children be the best they can be, it motivates us, to do the same thing. And, at the same time, none of us has figured out everything in life. I haven't figured it all out. But I do try to give them a template to follow. And I'm going to say, like most people, not just Americans, but most people around the world, mm-hmm. You want to give your kids a good path, a good starting point. You can't predict the future and figure out how they're going to end up, but you want them to start someplace good. And, what I've noticed in my, growing up, racism has become a part of my life that I definitely didn't ask for. I
that's
didn't. Right. Yeah, you don't anticipate people to look at you differently, speak to you differently, and until you get to that point and it starts to happen. And
Yeah.
I'm saying all this to say that when, along with my children, we lived in the city for years, and we looked at the school districts. So we figured, okay, if we go to a certain area, it would give them a better opportunity, or it would help them to get a better opportunity to further themselves in life. And that, excuse me, I believe that did happen. But at the same time, they experienced racism, which to me was a little shocking, not completely shocking, but a little shocking, because I figure in this time that I've grown and, and that I've got my kids and they're in high school, I thought that, things had changed enough that it just wouldn't exist to that point.
Yeah.
But they did, they were called names, and people may not realize, when you, I'm going to say this, when a white person may ask a black person, let me feel your hair, or is that your hair? Or you're pretty for a black girl, or, handsome for a black kid.
Mm-hmm.
It's a strong, it's strong pill to swallow. Because generally that's not how you communicate. You're normally just going to talk to people and just say, hey, nice hair, or nice this, or whatever, regardless of how that person looks. So, when George Floyd got killed, and, it was a disaster.
Yeah.
It was
a
disaster for him personally. Yes. And a disaster for a lot of people.
It was a disaster for America too. Right?
Exactly. And like most disasters, you have people who will panic. You have people who will take action. You have people who will plan to try to do things to, rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, if I'm not getting ahead of, if I'm getting ahead of myself, it's okay. You can stop me here.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Okay. But, one of my children, her and her friend, they wanted to go to, a rally. And I said, hey, I'm not really sure. In this area, we had, there was some violence the week before. And, it got pretty nasty. And, being a father, and you want your children to be involved in making a change and taking a stand. Mm-hmm. But you also, you don't want to see them hurt.
No, that's right.
So, I said, okay, you can go, but I want to go with you, because I want to be there to see, what's going to happen here. And,
I mean, you want to give them the free reign to be able to, peacefully protest and, right. and be able to learn about the situation and participate and all that stuff. But like you say, the last thing you want is for your child to get hurt. So
that's right.
I would have done the same thing. My son is like 30 years old. He's all grown up. He's married, and I worry about him because he's on the road a lot with his job. But I mean, I don't have to worry about protecting him like that, because he's not a young teenager or anything anymore. So yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it.
Right. So, when we got to the event, it was definitely very peaceful. But at the same time, there was a lot of energy. There was a lot of anger. A lot of people, were really, really upset. And the abuse that was seen or experienced by, some of these people and the people that they've seen abused by the police, abused by, let's say, the system, one way or another.
Yeah.
It was gut wrenching, and it has been gut wrenching. But at the same time, it was empowering. I was glad to see these young people, black and white. I mean, it was in my lifetime. I got to say, I have not felt such pride for, just humanity to see these young people coming together, black and white, just as if, it was a natural thing, in which it is a natural thing.
Sure it is. Yeah.
In my, growing up, I saw, riots when Dr. King was killed. I distinctly remember, just some brutal beating the police on, young people, and they were rioting. But it just, as a kid, I didn't really, comprehend, the rioting part. Where all I saw was, this cop is beating this young man with a billy club, and he has no defense.
Yeah. And he likely didn't do anything to deserve it. Right.
So, that image stuck with me. So when I saw this protest, and I saw the violence from the previous week, I figured, hey, I need to be there. In my lifetime, I've been stopped by the police. I was on my way home from work. I was going to church, and I was walking. It wasn't too far of a walk. So I'm walking, and they roll up on me, and they say, "Hey, can we talk to you for a minute?" Excuse me. So I sure. Can you get in the car? Well, I'm on my way to church, and I don't. What's the issue?
Yeah.
So, they say, can you just get in the car? So I get in the car, and they tell me that there was a house that was broken in. I said, if you call my job, they will tell you what time I left work. And, there's no way I had a chance to break into somebody's house in that little span here.
Mm-hmm.
But they said, okay, we're going to take you down to a lineup. So they cuffed me. Yeah. They cuffed me, took me, I don't know, about a half mile away to an open parking lot. And there was a lady outside the car, and we were about 20 yards apart. And it was, it was dark, but it was a parking lot light on. And they told me to step out the car and just, take about 5 or 6 paces and then come back. And the moment I stepped out the car, this lady began to scream and panic. And the first thing I thought to myself was, oh my goodness, this is, my life is probably about to be over here. And luckily, she said, that's not him. After I had to walk back twice, and she said, that's not him. And, they put me in the car, and he dropped me off at church, and, that was just the end of that.
Wow. That's kind of reminiscent I don't know, reminiscent, but that's kind of like, I don't know if you follow NASCAR, but I've been a NASCAR fan for years, and Bubba Wallace has become one of my favorite drivers, not just because of all this, but I mean, he's always been a good competitor. If Richard Petty can put him in the 43 car, he's got to be something, right? So he has been, when the George Floyd incident happened, and I'm going by what Bubba has said in interviews and on Instagram, that because I certainly don't know him personally, but he has said he was quiet for a few days, but then he realized that he can't be quiet anymore. He's got to speak up. So, I've watched a few of his interviews and things like that. And he said that, he started to become a little bit famous in NASCAR and whatnot. When he was referring to this story, he was driving a Lexus, and I forget where he said he was. It might have been, around Charlotte, where basically NASCAR is based. But he said he got pulled over by the police, and the police said to him, he said, the cop said, there's a lot of nice cars around here. And he said, yeah. He says, can you afford to buy this car? And he was fuming inside, but he thought that if he did anything wrong at all, that would be it. He said that he wanted to tell them, yes, I could afford to buy this, and I can afford to buy you one, and I can afford to buy your partner one, and I can afford to buy your spouse's one and your parents' one, but he didn't. I mean, the self-control he must have used to contain himself. But anyway, he showed them his ID and all that stuff, and I think they tried to tell him he had a light out or something like that. I forget, but he ended up, everything was fine. They let him go. But I mean, as well as I do, Warren, if it was a white guy driving that car, he would have went on right on by and nothing would have happened. And that's what just eats me up inside about this world, because it's not just happening in the States. It's probably happening everywhere.
It is.
So, it's just, it's so annoying. I live in a community that is mostly white. There's a few black people here. In fact, there was a guy that recently retired from work. He worked at the place I work. He worked there for years, probably pushing 40 years. And he was one of only maybe 3 or 4 black people that worked there. And now, I'm ashamed to say, I really don't know off the top of my head if there's any black people working there. But that's just a testament of how small the black community is in the town that I live in. Okay, it's just this place was settled with people from Ireland and England and Scotland and things like that. So I don't know. I mean, there's more coming in. Like there's more people of different ethnic backgrounds coming into the city. It's a small city. It's only about 22,000, but the city that I live in. And, but I mean, so just to give you an idea of what I grew up with, I wasn't exposed to stuff like this. So, I mean, again, that's why I wanted to learn more about it. I don't watch the news, very little of it anyway, because I just find it so depressing, but there's certain things that people do need to know about. But so that's kind of where I came from, in this kind of thing. So, I didn't experience it. I did live in Windsor, Ontario, across from Detroit for about 15 months when I was a teenager. So that would be the most exposure I had to, a lot of different, ethnic backgrounds. Like there was a lot of Italian people there, a lot of black people. I mean, there was East Indians. There was a lot of different people lived in that city and I went to school with and things like that. And I mean, I never had a bad experience with anyone. So I've never seen this kind of thing firsthand, but, so I do feel for you, for having to go through that. Luckily the lady, I mean, God must have spoke to her and said, no, that's not him. And, they took you back to church, but it just irks me that it has to happen and to begin with. So, right. But I'm happy to hear that, that you're talking to your kids about it. There may be cases where people aren't talking about it like they should be. And I think your kids need to hear it from you and your wife, not anyone else.
That's right.
I think that's important. So I think I probably interrupted you there, but
No.
So well, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, for the most part, I think just like most people, we're going to be pretty much okay. We're just going to treat, people the way we want to be treated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just going to be, a certain people who, they don't feel, for whatever reason. I don't know if it's upbringing, I don't know if it's something they read, saw, experienced. They don't feel that everybody deserves equal treatment, and
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Respect can be earned, but you can approach people with respect, without really, in the beginning. And then if I do something to show you, hey, to disrespect you, that's a different thing. But, if you're, and I really believe that I think most Black people are not asking for white people to look at them in a special way, or to give me a little extra favor type thing. I believe it's really just be honest and fair with me.
Oh yeah.
When I want to buy a house, like you were talking about, when we want to, if I want to buy a house, if I want to buy a car, if I want to, shop in your store, it's not a myth. Growing up, you were followed around the store a lot, and heckled by people. I've been spit on, just randomly, people driving by in their car, white people, and just hollering out the N-word at you, and I'm just literally walking or,
yeah,
not
you're
bothering
just doing your own
anything,
thing, minding your own business. Yeah.
Right. And, so what I like to see with the people, and that's why your story is important, because it's people like you who don't spread the bias, you don't spread the disease of hate, in this, or plant that seed. There was throughout history, there's so much that we don't really get taught about race relationships in school, and not that they can teach you everything in school, but there were Black people who were put in cages and told they were the missing link. Honestly, like who believed in Darwinism, they believed that Africans could be the missing link between man and ape.
Wow.
And,
I just, I'm not laughing because I don't think it's funny. It's so frustrating to even hear that concept.
Right. And it's not even, people say, well, that was 100 years ago. And you know what? It was 70, plus years ago when this was really popular, but it was a popular thing. So, my father and his family, were growing up when this was happening. So it's not that far removed, but it's enough to where people, were being, denied rights to have children because, the government or a certain sect of people felt like that person's their first child wasn't intelligent enough. So they were, I can't think of the word now, when they stop you from having children.
Yeah, and I know what you mean, but yeah.
That word. And, when I'm saying this because racism in this country and probably around the world can be taught. It can be taught just like, any other thing.
Oh yeah. And that's the only way people know it or people learn it. It's taught to them. We're not born that way, right? We're not born to hate. Hate and racism is something that is taught.
That's right. And, with my kids, we have definitely tried to plant the seed of, you respect those that respect you. Doesn't matter, who they are or, what they look like, where they come from, and that's how they try to process. That's how they try to proceed in their life.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always work out real good. But, then again, that's kind of part of life. A lot of our jobs, like you said, there's only a few black guys at your job or black people in society. You may be, as a black person, you may be the only person who is of color for, in your building or, in your department. And sometimes, you do feel not, you don't, what's the word? You do feel a little separated. Yeah,
like segregated?
Yeah, like segregated.
Or yeah.
And it may not be intentional, but you just figure that, okay, if I'm an accountant, and I know I worked in a building with, 35 other accountants, and I know when I went to college, there was, 25, black students graduating in accounting. Why are they not, some of them not showing up here? Are they just not applying for these jobs? Or, you start wondering, is this systematically people are, only letting a certain few in, and then that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, what the world needs to do is not look at people on the outside. So don't like, I'm going to be honest with you. This is what I do. And I'm not saying I'm the smartest guy in the world, but this is what I do because I think it's what God wants me to do in my heart. And that is when I look at someone, I don't see the color of their skin. I don't see the style of their hair. I don't see the clothes that they wear. I see the blood that runs through their veins. And it is the same blood that's running through my veins and the same blood that's running through everybody's veins. It's all the same. It is life. And that's how I see people, because there is only one race on this planet, and that's the human race. And the sooner that everybody can wrap their heads around that, the better off I think this place will be.
That's right.
I mean, that's the best way I can explain it, how I see things. I wish that more people in the world could think that way. Again, I don't think I'm the smartest person in the world, but I don't think I'm that far off from being, maybe a better way than the way things are now for a lot of people. I sound like I'm patting myself on the back, and I don't want to do that, but it's just, I just feel that strongly about it.
Well, I think what you're doing today, speaks to who you are, and what you're about, I don't have a big voice, I don't have a big story. I'm not a leader in any party or anything like that, but just having, a regular person on to talk about, their regular life, to regular people,
Yeah.
that can speak to people.
Because I think one of the biggest things that it points out is that if it's happening to you and you consider yourself to be just a regular person, which I'm going to disagree with you on that, because there's no such thing as a regular person. Everybody has something special about them, because if everybody was considered regular, then we might as well just all be robots.
Yeah.
So, right. So, I mean, but I know what you mean. Don't get me wrong. I know what you mean. You're just a guy. I'm just a guy. I don't think there's anything, I'm going to contradict myself. I don't think there's anything special about me, but I guess there really is. There's something special about both of us. But so the point I'm trying to make is that if you and I can sit here and talk about this, even though we're a few hundred miles apart here, if it's happening to you, and I'm just trying to get everybody's voice heard. If it's happening to you, who isn't it happening to out there, right?
Right.
If it's happening to you, it's going to be happening to so many people that don't have the opportunity to get their voice heard. And I mean, it's just unfortunate that, if I could have dozens and dozens and dozens of people on, I would, but, I don't think I'd be alive long enough to get everybody in. But it just goes to show you that it's happening that much. And, it needs to stop. It really does. And I don't know what the answer is. I've prayed that this kind of thing can stop. And I know it's a tall order, but, excuse me, if God can get into one person's mind and change their way of going about things for the better, then I know my prayer would be answered and I would be a happy person. It's like with my photography. If I put my photography out there, and if one person sees it and thinks it's a nice photo, job's done for me. That's how I look at it, right? So, gosh, it's just it's a rough world, man. It's a rough world, and
it is.
In some ways, I wish and this is going to sound strange, but in some ways, I wish I had experienced stuff like this so that I could speak better on it. But I haven't, not really. I mean, sure, when I was a kid growing up, there was, I get picked on and whatever, right? That's kids. But it's different for, somebody like yourself, being spit on and things like that. Like that, that's just, I don't know. Again, I can't express how disappointing it is to hear that, but, so is there anything, go ahead.
And let me just say, I would not, or I don't support, racism in any way. If it's, black to white, white to black, Asian, Indian, any other, races or I just, I'm not going to be a part of it,
No.
I think everybody, like I said, everybody deserves to be offered a chance to be respected.
Sure. Oh yeah.
And, it's moments like this though, where you see, the people, protesting, for, in a country that, pledges allegiance to God, you want to see that just happen without bloodshed, without, buildings being burned down and, just terrible things happen. You want this to just be, a right, because it's the right thing to do. And,
Yeah.
and I think, America, for all that we know, there's a lot of things that we still don't know, how to do right. And, change is a big thing, change for any of us, here with the pandemic, that was a huge change,
Yeah.
but we learned, quickly. If you wanted to survive, you learned how to survive and how to make things work for yourself and your family. And changing changing a disposition about people or an attitude about people, it takes work, it takes will, but it can be done, and it's just going to take, it's going to take that. It's going to take some work, for some people. And that's why, like I said, with the protesting and seeing how many white people, are standing up and just saying, I'm not going to be a part of this. I'm not going to be a part of this craziness, that to me helps me feel like, tomorrow there is so much hope. There is so much, joy that's going to be experienced, by my young son, because, there's people who, there's white people, there's black people, there's, when there was Asian people in the rally, and it just everybody, all looking for the same thing, let's just be good together.
Yeah. I think in just about any, whether it's a country, a religion, a race, I won't say race. That's not the word I want to use. I want to use like an ethnicity or an ethnic background. I think in any of those, there's always a few bad ones that spoil it for everybody else.
Yes.
Right. That's that's how wars have started, the whole 9 yards. I mean, I'm not going to point out anybody, but I mean, there's been things that have happened in recent years and decades where that's been the case. It's been a few bad apples are spoiling the applesauce, right? It's it's unfortunate, and it's the only way. Like, it's not something that can just happen to fix it. It has to be a conscious decision by everyone. So that's another reason that I'm hoping that this message gets out to people and can make a difference. And like I say, if it makes a difference in just one person's life, I'd be happy.
That's right. I just want to say, I want to go back to my childhood a little bit. There was, I grew up in the 70s, and there were some of my friends, some of my white friends, we had full access to each other's, our house, and just whatever we could do. What we, I could come to his house, he could come to my house. But there was some who he could come and play with me, but I couldn't come to his house.
Oh,
his the parent just was not going to have that. It was enough that you could play with me, but there was no, you didn't come in their house. So, now, in the area that I live in, my kids play with, there's black kids, white kids, there's, whoever. It's just, they're just friends. They're just friends, and everybody is good and cool together.
Yeah.
So, your mindset, people you have to adjust your mindset, because there was a time for me when I didn't know how I felt about white people. I didn't know if I liked them, if I disliked them, or, because it was my experiences just made me feel like, can I trust them? Should I be comfortable? How you get comfortable with people and you can feel, good about this person. Should I give them that same level of comfort, or should I just kind of keep an eye on them because, my past, but, you learn through experience, I guess, or you learn by trying, and it's the same way, when you see a black person, crossing the parking lot or, walking behind you or something, I don't think I've ever been attacked by, a black person from behind, and
Right. Yeah.
but I know a lot of, from my experience, white people have told me that, or black people have said, yeah, I can see that. And when they see me coming or see me across the street, you feel a certain kind of way, or you hide your money or something, but for the, which that can be common sense. And then that can be also humiliating, because, people know, they see and they know, and it creates, but it keeps recreating those moments of fear. And
Yeah.
in general, I'm not going to hurt you any more than that guy said, your white friends are going to hurt you. I'm just trying to go to work or go to class or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want to, sound like I'm keep going back to this, but, I know you said you wanted to talk about, the experience.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And this is what, I wanted some of the things that do come up, when I'm talking to black friends. And, if you could say to white people, I'm really just a regular person, and everything that I've experienced, it's probably going to be pretty similar to what you've experienced, maybe just different ways, different versions. But I still, I love my family, I love my kids, and I love my parents, and I like a lot of the things that you like, going out to a restaurant and having a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hey, you're just a normal guy, right? You're just a normal guy like everybody else. And that's what people need to understand. It's not that, you're not waking up in the morning with any ill will towards anyone.
That's right.
And you just want to get through the day and go to bed and start all over again tomorrow. So, I mean, we all put one foot in front of the other, just like everybody else.
That's right. And, you if you like you say, you have God, for many people, that's your place, your rock, your grounding is your religion, and if that's where it's at, then let that be your guide, in accepting people.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I accept and respect, people, whether they're Christian, Muslim, Islam, it doesn't matter to me. It does not matter. Gay, straight, whatever. It does not matter. I am not, I mean, like I said, I don't know. I can't express how much it doesn't matter to me, because like I said, when I look at someone, I see the blood in their veins, and that's all I see.
That's awesome.
I might not subscribe to someone's lifestyle if okay, I work with people who drink and carry on. Well, that's not my thing, right? If they want to do that, okay, fine. That's their choice. It's not, if they invite me over to, hey, you want to come over? We're having some drinks. No, thanks. I'll pass. And I've done that countless times. But I respect them for that. If they want to do that, that's fine. And the same with whatever lifestyle anybody wants to lead. I respect it. And that's, I don't know. I don't know how much further I could take that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Because, gay and lesbian people, they deserve the same treatment. They're just people, man. We're all just people,
That's right.
We're just experiencing life in, a slightly different way. But we're still just people. And, when I like with photography, you you can take a picture in one way. I can take a picture and see it one way,
Mm-hmm.
and you may see something totally different.
It's subjective, right?
It's subjective. That's right. Doesn't mean that my view is more right or more wrong than yours, but it is subjective. And but that's what I love about photography, and
Mm-hmm.
just being able to capture a moment, and then present it to somebody, or to share it with somebody. It's, I don't know. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling.
Oh yeah. I'm looking at your Instagram feed right now on my screen. Excuse me. And, the last 6 photos that you've posted were from the rallies and stuff. And, we'll get a little more into photography here in a minute, but what I'm liking is that the fact that you were able to, archive this for perpetuity.
Yes.
That this is something that that your grandchildren will be able to see, and you'll be able to be their voice, or not their voice, but you will be able to tell them your story, and teach them, the right from the wrong, and show them that yes, I can tell you this because I was there, and your daughter will be able to do the same thing. And was it just the one daughter that was there, or were there more? You have
it was
6
just
children, right?
It was just my one daughter.
Okay.
The other,
Well,
some of them are grown and gone on, but
oh yeah, okay. Well, she'll be able to take that with her too. She'll be able to talk about that with her children if she has children in the future. And
that's right.
And it like I said, it's better to come from you than for them to learn possibly who knows what from who knows who sometime down the road. So I think it's really cool that you posted those images, and it's a platform. Instagram, for instance, is a platform where we have the freedom to do that, and I think that's important, just as important as being able to talk to you about this now. So,
oh yeah, I love Instagram. I love it. When I first went on there, and I could see places that I will probably never go to see, but it just fascinated me. I could, just looking at some of these pictures, and it's amazing. And those pictures, they mean so much to me. Like you say, that experience with my daughter, and if we never go to another rally again, we have that moment, and taking a stand against injustice, and hopefully that sticks with her. I know, I'm sure it will stick with her. And just being able to share those photos with whoever may catch them, and that's what's so great about Instagram, because it could be my neighbor, or it could be somebody in Russia,
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, so speaking of photography, I'm seeing on your Instagram that you shoot with an iPhone at times, but you also have, what is it? Is it a Panasonic?
It's
or a Sony?
Excuse me. It's the Sony. Yeah.
Okay.
Sony A3. I'm sorry, 7 3i, and I shoot with I have a Canon T5 I shoot with also. That was my first camera, first interchangeable lens camera. My Canon. And you know what? I like the Sony. I love the Canon.
Oh, is that right, eh?
Yeah. The Sony, I tell you this, the Canon, I say I love it because it's been through, winter storms. It's been through rain, downpours. And it just keeps going. I, dropped it, whatever, and it just doesn't stop. The Sony, I haven't put it through that type of a test so much yet, but I hope it holds up and we can have a great relationship.
Yeah. So, okay. So one time you were on Instagram Live and I went on there.
Yep.
And so you were explaining, what you were doing, where you were going, and you were trying to get some waves and things like that. It was a miserable day.
Yes.
So, and you were kind of talking to me a little bit about it. That was the Sony you had at that time, wasn't it?
Oh, you know what? I can't recall. It might have been, honestly. No, I'm going to say
I'm looking.
that maybe it was. It's been so long. I can't remember which one.
Yeah. And that was basically before winter, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was before winter.
It was in the fall.
It was just one of those storms coming up, and it was one of those where you're out on the dock, and your brain is saying, "Okay, stay here," but my heart is saying, "I want to chance it and go out there."
Yeah. And your brain's saying, "Just a minute now, hold on." But your feet are listening to your heart.
That's right. I ended up listening to my feet and just and went back the other.
Yeah.
But
so,
but I
yeah. So, okay. Oh, go ahead.
That iPhone, my iPhone, now, I got in the same way with the iPhone, I guess, that I did with the Canon, because when I first got my iPhone, I got an iPhone 7, let's say, to start with.
Right.
Actually, if I can go back to about 5 years ago, maybe, when I was shooting with a Samsung Galaxy 3, when I started listening to you guys on Tiny Shutter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I was out one day and on my lunch break, and I took a couple of pictures, and when I got home later and I put them, you guys told me about Snapseed, and I put them through Snapseed, and I was like, wow, this is not a bad picture. And that's what started me to, on the path that I'm on right now. Man, Tiny Shutter was huge, and you guys were huge in my growth. I mean, or my infancy as a photographer.
Well, that's cool. That's cool to hear. I don't know if I was on back then.
No, I think you might have came on maybe a year later or so. Yeah.
But it sounds like you and I may have picked up the show at about the same time.
Yeah.
I started listening about maybe a year and a half or so, 2 years maybe, before they brought me on as a co-host.
Okay.
So yeah, that's cool. So that kind of segues into what I usually ask people for this show as my first question is how you got into iPhone photography. So were you taking many pictures with your Samsung before you got the iPhone, or was listening to Tiny Shutter kind of the catalyst for taking more pictures with a phone?
Yeah, you know what it was. It was what kept me, I guess, going, because I think Matt Hoffman, he would come on there, he'd comment about going to some location and taking a specific type of a photo, like he would do a time lapse or he would do something, and I was like, man, how are these guys doing this, and on their phone. And then the iPhone 7 came out, and I was, even though, I was really down with the Tiny Shutter program, I was really happy with my Android phone. So
right,
my wife and my kids got the iPhone 7, and
you were the green bubble.
Yes, I was. Yeah, I was just like, Apple. Apple sucks. Everything they make is, it's
I used to be that guy too.
Yeah, I was just not feeling Apple. But man, when she took some pictures with that phone, I was like, wait a minute.
What's going on here?
So I found myself, when I got ready to go out, like I would go out on a Saturday morning. I'd get up, 6 o'clock in the morning and go out and shoot. And I would say, hey, can I borrow your phone for a while? You know, I'll be back. So eventually, you know, after, I don't know, maybe about 6 months, yeah, I just went and got myself an iPhone 7. And
Yeah.
it was fantastic. It was great. And
Yeah. Well, Joseph Ferreira from the show, he had an iPhone 7 from the time they came out until just about a month or two ago when he finally upgraded to the 11 Pro. So, I mean, the 7, it was I remember a guy at work, I think I had the 6S, and this guy I worked with got the 7. And I said, okay, and you know, I do this just about any time somebody gets a new phone, as long as I can do it. But I said, okay, let me see that thing. So I held them both up and I took the exact same picture of whatever was on the desk, with both phones side by side. And I was pixel peeping, right? And cause I thought the 6S was just the cat's meow, right? I was really happy with it. And then when I saw what the 7 did, I thought, oh, it's just that much better.
yeah, it is.
But yeah, so I mean, it was a good phone. But now you have upgraded just recently, have you not?
Yeah, I sure did. I went with the Pro Max 11.
Oh, nice.
And same thing. It just, you know, I didn't know if it was going to really be better or not. But man, the photos and the video, that video is just can be stunning. It's just like, wow. And the zoom.
Yeah, and that's what I noticed when they announced that phone is they really put a lot of emphasis on the video.
Yeah.
On the capabilities and whatnot. So yeah, it's a friend of mine has one. I'm going to be interviewing him on the show at some point too, and he's actually just getting kind of started with taking pictures with his phone, and he's really liking the results. And he showed me a video, and I don't know if you've experienced this or not, but it was kind of talked about in the keynote, I think, when they announced the phone. The way that thing picks up audio while you're shooting video, like okay, so here's the scenario. And I talked about this on Tiny Shutter before, so you might have heard this, but he was at, him and his wife were at a little zoo, not a real big zoo, just a small zoo. But there was a place where you can go in and take your kids in or whatever. So I think they had their grandkids with them, and you can, walk around, pet the goats and stuff, right? Feed them and, you know, have fun. And his wife was like about 30 feet away from him. And one of the grandkids was running around her, and he was recording it on video. And I could not believe how that thing picked up that granddaughter's voice and left everything else out. Like everything, basically almost everything else around him was silent. It was picking up, like it's like it knew what was being videoed, like being recorded.
Yeah.
And it was concentrating on that alone. And everything else didn't matter. So it kind of toned that down. I thought that was incredible.
Yeah.
No, I'm still on the 10S Max, so I don't have that kind of functionality in my phone. So have you tried video like that? Like
I haven't done well. I just recorded myself. I've tried to do. Like you said with the me on the dock there. You know, I've done some video of myself, but I really haven't done a whole lot of video now with, you know, other than that. And you know, I videoed the raindrops. I don't know if you might have saw it on my Instagram. Raindrops dropping in slow mo.
Yes. Yeah, that's cool.
That slow mo is amazing. It's incredible.
Oh yeah. And it's fun to play with.
It is fun to play with, yes. But yeah, I haven't really tried it out like that. The first time I did do video with, maybe a couple of months after I got it, and the video, the audio, no, the video just would stop. So I think they were having some issues, you know, initially. It was maybe about 30 days after it would just stop. It wouldn't go any further, or I would still see the picture,
really?
But it wasn't recording. So I was trying to record a vlog, and I would get home like there's nothing there, But that stopped after, didn't take long. Now it just stopped happening. So it's could have just been my phone. I'm not sure, but they have.
So it's not still doing that though, right?
No, it's not doing it anymore.
So I wonder if an update maybe fixed it.
Probably so. Yeah, because it had several updates, and Apple makes a great product. That phone, they kind of take a beating. I keep a case on there, but it takes, it gets dropped, and it goes through work, and
so do you have any favorite apps that you use? Like I'm sure you're probably still using Snapseed.
Oh, yes. Lightroom.
I'll bet you there's not many phones that program doesn't have a place.
That's right. And, a lot of my friends who, they'll see my work, and they'll wonder, well, what are you shooting with? I'll tell them the phone or my cameras or whatever. But, so you got to have Snapseed, man. You got to get you some Snapseed. If you really want to do something, a little deeper, you can go to Lightroom, mobile. You can get some great free apps, and then I use Spectra, for some slow. And, I know you guys talk about, slow shutter cam.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I tried it and I just couldn't get it to work. And I don't know if it's just something that I was doing wrong, but I just couldn't get it to get that good slow.
Yeah, it's not as user friendly as Spectre, because Spectre, you can just hold on to it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with slow shutter cam, you have to have it on a tripod or sitting someplace, the first picture that Tiny Shutter picked as post pick of the week from me was a picture of water going over this little, dam or whatever. And it was kind of a close up picture, but I had my big Canon with me when I had it, and I had a big lens hood. I put the lens hood down and I put my phone in the lens hood just as some place to prop it. And that's how I took that photo. Cause I didn't have a tripod adapter with me at the time. So, but yeah, slow shutter cam is a little more, it's a little more in depth. It's not as user friendly. So, but, tell you what, we'll get some, iMessage happening here, and I'll help you get it figured out, because it is a lot of fun to play with too.
Yeah. Okay. I know I've seen some of you guys work with that, and, on Instagram and everything. It's pretty nice. Yeah. I use the photographer's infrared.
Oh, do you?
Yes, I do. I love that. Whenever I'm making the plan to go out, I'm always, that's where I'll start, to see, where my sunset's going to be, and, and where I should be with it, or sunrise. And, that's another one. It's a little tricky, but once you get used to it, it's not so bad.
Yeah. I have one called Planet, like Plan It. And it's basically the same type of thing. I think I discovered it before the, what is it? Ephemeris, I think it's pronounced.
Yeah.
Before that one, before I discovered it anyway, but I saw this one first. So that's the one I've got. And, I've got some, in-app purchasing and invested in it. So it's the one I'm going to keep, but, I don't use it as much as I should. I've gone out for some sunsets recently. So I have the Apple Watch, and on the solar watch phase, it tells you when the sunset's going to be and things like that, right? And where I live, it's not like there's a ton of really good places to get a nice sunset. So I've been kind of going to the same spot all the time, but, I really should maybe use it a little more to try to plan out some different locations and stuff, and see if I'm actually going to see the sunset or not. But yeah, that's, you're doing a lot more planning than I am. Let's put it that way.
That planet looks pretty nice. So I like this. This is the first I've heard of that.
Oh yeah. 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 It's pretty cool. I mean, you can actually, use it with AR, like augmented reality. So you can see from where you're standing if a building is going to be in the way or something like that, right? So it's and I don't know if the one that you have does that or not. I'm not that familiar with it.
No, there's another one that I was going to get, which I can't think of the name of right now, but it's about the same price as Planet Pro. Oh man, it's everybody. Well, a lot of people talk about it. Anyway, that sounds familiar, but I'm gonna have to. Now I'm gonna have to choose. I have to check this Planet out.
Yeah, I've always said like I've said to Matt Hoffman, I don't know how many times, I could spend your money easy.
That's right.
So, excuse me. Is your workflow like? Have you ever shot raw images at all, or do you just strictly go with the native camera app?
No, I'll shoot raw. I'll shoot raw from Lightroom.
Oh yeah.
I think Spectra. No,
The Spectre won't do raw.
it won't.
But Halide will.
Halide, that's what it was. I did the Halide app.
Yeah.
Raw.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, usually it's going to be like I'll do Lightroom in raw mode.
Yeah.
But I love raw. I'd rather shoot raw. There's times when I'll, just, use my regular iPhone camera. But generally, if I can, I'll shoot raw.
Yeah. Like for me, I've been shooting more raw this year, basically since 2020 began, I guess, than I ever have with my phone. I've just discovered that the image quality is so much better. And as far as like, okay, if the scene is too much for raw development, then I'll just go, because I shoot raw in JPEG out of Halide. So if that's the case, then I'll just use the JPEG because it's got all the, Apple's magic sauce built into it, and layers upon layers of images put together, and they give you the best thing that you can get, right? So I'll use that. But when I can, I want to use the raw image because I have just been seeing the image quality being so much better than what the JPEG gives you.
Yeah.
The JPEG, I find I'm a pixel peeper, right? So if you really zoom in, you can see, the artifacts and things like that in a JPEG. Whereas if you do the same thing from the same file that was shot in RAW or the same subject, it is just so much better. The quality. Like I just put one on Instagram, about an hour or so before we come on here, of a clematis flower in our backyard. And the quality is just stunning compared to what the JPEG gave me. So I've been just really enjoying what Halide gives me in RAW. They've got this thing called Smart RAW, and if you look on their blog, you can read up on it. But it just the quality is just so good, so good.
Shot. Excuse me.
Oh, thanks. But yeah, and I'm gonna put a video out. I've got the video stuff shot. I've just got to put it together and narrate to it about how I developed the raw file. Have you ever heard of Lumabee?
No, I heard you mention that on this podcast, and I tried looking it up and I couldn't find it. How do you spell that?
It's Lumibee.
Oh, okay.
And it's free. Quick little backstory. I really fell in love with that app when it first came out, and I don't even remember how I heard about it, but I put it in my phone, and the idea behind their design of the app is to get you through the editing process quickly without bogging you down with, making decisions about, what am I going to do here? Or what am I going to do there? It's just a very quick process to come up with a final image. And again, it's especially with JPEG, because I find with RAW, you have to, do a little extra with it to make it right. But, so I've come up with a fairly standard process of editing. And in Lumabee, if you press hard on your screen on your iPhone, the histogram comes up. So the harder you press, the brighter the histogram is. And I got to tell you, I use that a lot when I'm developing a raw file, whether it's in Lumabee or another app. But I use that histogram a lot. I've always said I was a technical photographer. And so when I post this this video of my editing of a raw file, I'm going to show the image before, the image after. Hopefully I can get a raw versus JPEG on there, and then the final image. Because actually, in this particular case, I used the same raw file and I developed it twice. I developed it for the highlights and I developed it for the shadows, and put them together and erased part of the one to let the other show through, that type of thing. Stuff that I used to do in Photoshop all the time. But it's, you can do it on a phone now. So that's, that's a cool thing. And another guy I know on Instagram wanted to know the process. So I told him, okay, stay tuned. I'm going to make a video and I'll get it out there. But, just got to sit down and do it.
No, that's awesome. And yeah, I would like to see that video. Do you have an app for black and white?
I have, over 250 apps on my phone, so I probably do.
You sound like me. My kids are like, Dad, what are you doing, man? You got pages.
I know, right?
Apps, man.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I have one called Contrast, and I have one called Blackie. Those are specifically for black and white. But I have, oh gosh. Now, the rest that I'm looking at here aren't specifically for black and white, but they can do black and white, I'm sure.
Uh-huh.
And I'm actually going to be doing more black and white coming up. You know what? I don't want to make this about me, but, a few years ago, a friend of mine challenged me to do a photo a day challenge for the year, right? I gotta look at the thing now. In 2012, I did a photo of the day with my iPhone, and it happened to be a leap year, so it was like one extra day. I know it doesn't sound like much, but boy, after 365 days, the last thing you want to do is another one. But I did it. So then a couple years went by, and then a friend of mine said, hey, let's do the photo a day thing together, but we'll do it in black and white. And like a dummy, I said, okay. So we did that, and it was a fun thing to do. Really, it really was. It was fun and challenging, and I wish we had some of the apps now, or then, that we have now, because back then, I mean, if Contrast existed, I didn't know about it. Contrast is very high contrast, and you can't even adjust for exposure, I don't think, or maybe you can. But basically, you tap the screen, bang, the picture's taken. You don't have a lot of it's point and shoot, so it's very interesting. Mary Walker, who interviewed me on the first episode of this podcast series, she told me about it. And it's kind of a fun thing to play around with because it gets you thinking.
Uh-huh. No, I love black and white.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's like I'm looking at your stream here and I'm seeing some black and whites, and it's a real pure form of photographic art, and it can be done right or I think it could be done wrong in some cases, but it's hard to get it wrong, really.
Yeah.
So black and white. What do you have an app that specifically shoots black and white?
I used to have. I think it was a very popular one, but I stopped using it, and I can't think of the name of it. It was I got it from you guys back in the day. I got the name, and I bought the app.
Yeah.
But then I just stopped using it. I just start when I do my Lightroom. I'll run it through Lightroom and see how I feel about it. And then, if I'm going to do black and white with it, I'll, either just go right from there, or I'll send it to Snapseed and, try a couple of filters on there with the black and white.
Mm-hmm. Carbon is another one.
Carbon. Oh, yeah. That sounds familiar.
That's another one. But, yeah. But anyway, but I think I know the one you're talking about. I just looked, and I don't think I have it on my phone anymore, but I used to have it as well.
Yeah, it was the most. Gosh. I'm going to say it was the most popular one. It was because everybody was I watched YouTube, and they're like, "Yeah, you got to use this here app," and I just can't think of it either. Yeah,
yeah, it's going to come to me as soon as we get off the line here. I know it will.
But that's one of the great things. It's so many great apps now. Even from when I first got my iPhone 7, back 4 years ago, whatever. And now, there's just, these apps are really good. Like you say, I'm debating my Lightroom subscription renews next month. So I'm like, I don't know if I don't know if I want to renew it. I may just, slide and just, use my apps on my phone. And, when I'm on my computer, I got a couple of programs I can use on there and see if I can live without Lightroom,
Mm-hmm.
But it's been, I don't know, it's been such a big part of my photographic life right now. It's kind of a hard thing to shake, but.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't use it myself. I used to use it when it was a standalone program, but then when Adobe went all in with the subscription plans and that, I kind of got away from it because I just don't use it enough to warrant, getting a subscription like that. But, so when you, do you find Snapseed, Lightroom, those are pretty much your go-to when it comes to processing and whatnot?
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Like, between those two, that's pretty much going to be it. There's a few that I'll dabble with, but mainly that's it. If Lightroom doesn't get it, I'm just going to come back and try it again through Lightroom or Snapseed.
Yeah.
I found, it's two things. Sometimes I want to get a photo out right away. But there's times when I'll go out and I'll take, 100 shots and I'll walk away feeling like nothing was there. I didn't get nothing. And then 3 weeks later, I'll come back to that roll, and I'll see them like, oh, wow, look at that, and something will catch me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And one of the great things about having my phone when I'm going out with my full size camera, I can preview everything with my phone. I can set something up, and sometimes I'm almost scared because if I take a picture with my iPhone, 9 times out of 10 it's going to look great, and then if I take that same picture with my my full size camera, it's like, I got to make an adjustment to make it look like the iPhone.
Yeah, that's right. So, do you have any aspirations for your photography? We'll include, the DSLR stuff here too, as well as the iPhone stuff. Do you have any place where you'd like to see it go? Like, do you have any aspirations, like a book or anything like that that could be the next step?
Yes, you know what? I've thought about trying to put some of my favorite photos into a book. a book format. I've looked at, I've actually this year, I was planning to start doing portrait photography. But then when, everything happened with the coronavirus, it, put that on hold for a bit.
Yeah.
I got my equipment, and I was ready to go and then this happened, but it's okay. It could be a blessing in disguise. There's always more to learn, in photography. And I right now, I would really like to, I got myself a printer. I want to start making some prints, and, I've had people, who interested in buying prints, and, I think I got myself to the point where I felt like my pictures were not good enough, to really sell them.
Oh yeah.
So I've gotten over myself now. So yes, I'd like to be able to sell some prints, and I'm in the process of making a website right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which I thought was going to be super easy, but it wasn't super easy. So when I get my website finished, I should have a little store on there to be able to buy some prints, and in my neighborhood here, I have, I've thought about putting some of my photos just out in my yard. And as people come through the area, you can just look at it or you can just ignore it. But, just to see what kind of a response, they might get. And, in a way to be able to bring people, maybe it'll put a smile on somebody's face,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so if I can get my wife to kind of agree with that, I can, make some prints and put them out there, on a little stand of some type. And I saw a guy in Boston, do something similar. He made like a photo gallery in his backyard, but, he had a ginormous piece of property. And, I don't have a ginormous piece of property right now, but
yeah,
I got enough room to do something like that.
Yeah, that's cool. What was I going to say here? Oh yeah, never sell yourself short, and I'll tell you why. I put a picture on Instagram that I really didn't think that much of, but I wanted to post something. My wife and we took our dogs up to a local waterfall area. And this was before the foliage all came out. I mean, to me, it was kind of dull and, just not that photogenic. But I took pictures anyway. And I took a picture of this scene that had a bunch of rocks, big rocks on the ground and these trees. And I thought, why not? I just posted it. And it wasn't long after that a cousin of mine who lives like a few hours away, excuse me, she got on there and she said, "Oh, I love this. It would look great in my living room. I have a space just waiting for the right picture, and this is it." And I'm thinking to myself, really? And so I said to her, "Okay, well, what are you thinking?" And she says, 20 by 30. And I'm thinking, wow, really? Okay. Anyway, long story short, I got it printed at a place in Toronto and had it shipped to her door. And she loves it. She sent me a picture of it on the wall. And I mean, I'm hoping it turned out great because I didn't see it. But, the actual print, I didn't see the actual print. She just took a picture of it while it was on the wall to show me the space that she put it in. And I guess it looks good because she was really happy with it. Yeah. But I never would have dreamt that I would have sold that print or that image as a print. And here it was. It happened on Instagram. So, never sell yourself short. Something like that could happen just out of the blue.
Well, I can see. I have people, like I say, people have been interested lately in the last few months here. And, I tell you, you hear about people online a lot, discouraging you, people, but, I've had so many positive comments and feedback. I've, taken a few pictures and people say, I was there when I was a kid and, this just takes me back to that day and that moment. And it's, you really blessed my heart. Just, I'm like, it's a picture and, feel honored. I literally feel honored to, hear somebody say that, or read that comment that, something I did. I mean, this one lady from, out the New York City way, she said she shared the picture with her son to show him, where she grew up and how it looked and everything. And she wanted to, get some more pictures. She asked me if I could take more pictures that he could see. And it was just like,
oh, wow.
Yes, I couldn't believe it,
That's cool. So you've had an impact on them,
Right. And, that's why I love Instagram. And my family, trust me, they're like, Dad, please, man, get that camera away from me, or please.
Yeah.
Get the camera home.
Yeah. I could just see it now. The kids will be sitting there doing something. Dad.
Exactly. But every now and then I'll take a break.
Yeah. Have you heard of Dayflash?
No.
It's a really cool app. It's kind of like Instagram, but when you see photos on Dayflash, they're full screen in HD quality. It's really it's a real nice way to showcase images. And I mean, by default, everything's vertical. So vertical images actually work better, but I mean, you don't have to have it full screen. You can, when you upload it, you can pinch it back to, show the whole photo. But there's so many good photographers on there. And disclaimer, I've just recently, like a couple of days ago, became an ambassador on there. I joined their ambassador program and, but the app is free. There's no ads. There's no algorithms like there is on Instagram. It's chronological order. And, there's a lot of nice work on there. I find it very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's, inspirational. That's the word I'm looking for. And actually on Tiny Shutter, we interviewed, Pally Renjen. She's one of the co-founders of the app. And, so we kind of promoted it that way a bit, but it's a really cool way to, show your stuff. And they're really pushing the collaboration side of things too. So you can, somebody else can edit your photo or you can edit somebody else's photo or whatever. During this pandemic, there's been, FaceTime photo shoots going on and there's a lot of portrait stuff on there. If you're interested in portraiture, that's the place to see a lot of portraiture. There's, a lot of stuff like that on there. So give that a look. But,
no, I can see here. I did have it downloaded at one point. So I came across it at some point.
Oh, okay.
But I'm going to try it again.
All right. Yeah. Give it a go and see what you come up with. But anyway, wow, this has been the longest show that I've done so far. But that's okay. It's been a good one. It's been really good talking to you, Warren. Really phenomenal getting to know you a little better. And, so besides your Instagram or anything you want to plug, like is your website ready to promote?
No, it'll be warrenmcinnisphotography.com. But,
okay.
It's still in the building phases. I got it just about done, but, I couldn't couldn't get it all the way through. So it won't be long.
Okay. And you have a YouTube channel too, right?
Yes, I do. Same name.
Warren Mcinnis Photography. Okay, on YouTube. I'll get you to stay on the line for a quick minute after we're done here, because I'll get these links from you that I can put in the show notes.
Okay.
To help lead people to them. And of course, your Instagram is Warren _Mcinnis,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Are you on Twitter at all?
Yes, I am. I'm on Twitter as W McInnes. W.McInnes.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, I'll put all these in the show notes for everybody to so people can find you and connect and whatnot. I gotta say thank you. Thank you very much for coming on and telling your story. And, I don't imagine it was an easy thing to agree to. But hopefully the discussion that we had can get out there and reach some people and just get some people thinking about what's been going on and why and everything else. I think it's important. So I can't thank you enough for that.
Well, I appreciate you, for the chance and, just giving me a little voice and just wanting to hear that and wanting to share it. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to, promote this, and it'll likely show up in my Twitter a few times, because I know once you see it and things go on Twitter, they're gone pretty quick. So, it could be 3 or 4 tweets in a row from me. I don't know, but I definitely want people to hear this show. Even if they just hear the first part. Before we took a little break there. So, all right. Well, this is a special edition of the show, I'd have to say. So, I want to remind the listeners that I don't record these regularly, and it's been quite a while since my last one. But I got to be honest with you, I haven't really felt like doing a show, mostly because of the things that have been going on, and that's the reason that I wanted to do this particular episode, because I wanted to put something out there to show that Black lives do matter, and it's not. It wasn't something that I just kind of thought of on a whim. I really wanted to. I kind of rehearsed things in my head. I don't go by a script, but I was kind of rehearsing things in my head about how to go about this episode, and that's why there was no theme music at the beginning and all that stuff. I mean, I wanted it to be a serious discussion, and thanks to Warren, it was. So look for this episode on your favorite podcast app, Apple Podcast, Downcast, Overcast. It's on iHeartRadio. You can get it on Android phones. Share the heck out of it if you think it's important, which I think it is. Share it with anybody and everybody, because everybody needs to hear the conversation. And we will see you on the next one.
All right, man.